Good evening. I've been out and about again, this time in Tower Hamlets. I received an invitation to the Tower Hamlets Local History Library and Archives, and specifically their Next Stop exhibition, which opened this month. This exhibition is dedicated to transport in the East End, which meant that it was right up my street, figuratively at least. I love the railways of East London, whether that's the Victorian steam railways or the modern DLR. But it's not just about trains. This is a remarkably comprehensive exhibition covering everything from medieval river crossings to modern issues of accessibility. What makes it even more remarkable is that nearly everything in it comes from the Tower Hamlets archive. Transport in East London is interesting to me because East London is historically a very industrial part of the city, primarily because of the docks and the need to export goods. Where you have industry, you of course need transport. Initially you had the rivers, the canals, and some comparatively crude roads by modern standards, but come the Industrial Revolution, trains could get things where they needed to be much quicker, and so East London became a prime market for Victorian railway developers. A pretty good example of this is the East London Line, which is now part of the Windrush Line of the London Overground. That was built by 6 different companies, at least 5 of which had a deadly rivalry with at least one, if not more, of the others. But because there was so much money to be made, they held their noses and forced themselves to work together. It wasn't long before the Docklands were absolutely crisscrossed with railways. But it wasn't just goods. Industry needed people, and because industry relied on a fairly low-paid workforce, that meant there was also a market for affordable public transport. So as a result, you get buses, you get trams, and you get some of London's first commuter railways. A line that gets a lot of attention in the exhibition is the London and Blackwall Railway, which now forms part of the DLR from Tower Gateway to West Ferry. The London and Blackwall is a favourite of mine, as you probably know if you watch this channel regularly. It's just a very unusual pioneering line. There's also a fair old bit about the North London Railway, which started out as a freight line to the docks, but became an important commuter route. Things shifted in the 20th century. Trams, buses, and the Underground were cheaper and often more convenient than the trains, so commuters shifted to them as they became more widespread. Many of the old stations ended up being abandoned. The exhibition has maps available showing you where you can find some of them, which I think is very neat. I haven't actually covered most of these, so I think I'll have to remedy that in the future. Railway lines found themselves turned primarily over to freight. The London and Blackwall stopped carrying passengers altogether in 1926. Things shifted again after the Second World War. As ships increased in size and containerisation became the preferred means of carrying freight, the docks in London found themselves wanting. There are still a few working wharves, but the great docks that had once never ceased working. The industries that served or were served by the port moved away. East London suffered a crisis. Industry gave little thought to those it left behind. The attitude towards public transport in the 70s seems to have been pretty bare minimum. There was little willingness to invest in transport in the Docklands. If you'll permit me to editorialise here, it seems that the government almost viewed the people of East London as a charity case. Poor bus services were seen as being enough, despite local objections. East London underwent something of a renaissance in the 80s, and public transport was a key part of that. 1987 saw the opening of the Docklands Light Railway. This was something of a compromise. Rail transport would encourage commercial development into the docks, but light rail wasn't as much of a financial risk as building, say, a tube line. Well, the DLR not only succeeded, but thrived. It's now a major metro network. And it brought economic development, all right. Canary Wharf now rivals the City of London in terms of economic importance. And that rather opened the floodgates. The DLR struggled with the numbers of people now using it, so East London finally did get its tube line in 1999, in the form of the Jubilee Line. The Elizabeth Line arrived in 2022. Here's an article objecting to Crossrail from 1993. We do take our time with rail projects in this country. Canary Wharf has not been without its own controversies, but it can't be denied that the transport connections it required have benefited East London as a whole. Incidentally, look at this map from before the DLR opened. It's not Canary Wharf at this point, it's Canary Quay. Gives you an idea of how out of nowhere the development was. Nowadays, the dialogue around public transport has again shifted. I don't think anyone would deny its importance to any city's economy. But there are other questions arising. The cost of fares, environmentalism, accessibility, congestion, the implementation of new technologies. I guess what I'm saying is, the story of transport in East London is not one that has an ending. All in all, I thought the exhibition was excellent. Now, obviously, I'm a bit biased because, as I say, I was invited and the people running the show were jolly nice. But putting that aside, it's a comprehensive history of public transport in the Tower Hamlets area, touching on just about every form of passenger transport over the past 9 centuries. It doesn't deal much with goods transport, but when you have the Docklands on your doorstep, well, that's a topic big enough to merit its own exhibition. I can understand why they sidestepped that one. Plus, it's, a people's history. It's very worth your time, even if you think you know public transport in East London. I mean, I like to think I do, but there were plenty of exhibits that were completely new to me. It's a fairly small exhibition. I reckon you could get around the whole thing in about half an hour, although I kept finding myself returning to exhibits for a closer look. There's a lot to see, even in one room. There are also activities for kids, and as I say, there's reading material to take home with you. The exhibition is free. It's at the Tower Hamlets Local History Library and Archive, which I think I might have to visit again. It looks like they have a lot of resources. The library is on Bancroft Road in Mile End, just off Mile End Road. It's just a short walk from Stepney Green Tube Station, which is worth a look in itself if you like railway history. The exhibition is running until the 21st of February 2026, Monday to Friday and the first and third Saturdays of the month. Check it out for yourself. I think you'll enjoy it. Well, I do hope you also enjoyed today's video. If so, I would be grateful if you'd leave a like and consider subscribing for more. I would like as ever to thank my donors on Ko-fi, on Patreon, and here on YouTube for your generous support. You are the additional commuter services to my North London freight route. And I will see you all again very soon. Cheerio.